And that's where it was when I started the stream. Good job. Excuse me. Let's give it a moment to warm up here. I'm going to pop my chat out and I'm going to make sure that everything looks right because I've been messing with things a lot on the stream and I just want to make sure it's not telling people I'm playing a Verdum. Nope, it says things are right. Yay. I gave someone the mod list for the game and I just realized that it's in the frickin' description for my stream channel. So next time someone whines to me about wanting the mod list, I can just be like, click the tribble. It's also another 100 fucking degree day in mid-September. This shit's getting ridiculous. Like, a hot day this time of year is like high 80s. And it's just shot, and it's 100 degrees with humidity and everything. I'm like...
That's gross.
I know, I'm like, ugh. Ugh. Fucking boomers. Why did you do this to us?
What did you do?
I noticed. I think it should have like started getting colder by now.
Yeah. That's it. It looks like, at least around here, it should get colder next weekend. But last weekend, like, it looked like it was going to get colder this weekend, and then they updated the models, and it's hot. It's still hot. It's like I have this low-key, irrational fear that it's going to be 90 degrees forever. No, I don't want to put that on. That's too heavy. I'm trying to think of what shirt I should wear. It's going to be nice and cool. I can't think of any. So I'm going to go shirtless. Not like anyone knows other than everyone who's heard me say it. All.
It's like, you're like those
One
YouTubers who like do like YouTube videos without wearing pants, but like since they only have a cam with like their chest up, you never notice that they're not wearing pants unless they say that they're not wearing pants.
It did rain a few times in the past few days.
And it's been raining like every morning here. So like overnight it'll drop down to like still too hot to get a decent fucking sleep. Because my AC doesn't work when it goes above 90. So like it drops below 90, my AC turns on, but it takes till like 2 in the morning to get cool. And then fucking 3 in the morning it'll rain, the temperature will plummet to the point where it's hard to sleep because it's too chilly. And then right around sunrise, the rain will stop and it'll just be 100 degrees again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
See, I sleep with a fan, so I never have like really hot days where I can't sleep, or hot nights where I can't sleep.
You don't understand. I sleep with a fan, and it's too fucking hot to sleep. You're...
I also sleep naked.
Again. I mean, you're just... Y'all have been getting a fairly decent, absurd heat wave.
Yeah.
Because if you're...
Our heat waves are normally only during the day. At night it's cold.
Yeah, well, the heat wave starts... around here, the heat wave normally starts picking up around 11:30, noon, and then it starts fading around midnight. Like, so it starts fading at sunset, but it takes till midnight for everything to settle. Because it's not like we have some fucking water to let out cold air or something.
Yeah.
As long as the wind is blowing from the south, which it has been for like 6 months almost, it's hot. So hot it fucking killed Mal.
No.
Welcome back, Mal.
I was looking through other Discords and I accidentally clicked the voice channel.
That's happened to me before.
I should really look for some more Discord channels.
I have just a bunch of Discord channels of furry bitches.
Maybe I'll look somewhere else.
I
I
should-
don't think you want to join the Discord channel of a bunch of fat furs who play Smash Bros.
I should pull you, Antonio, into Spider Mom's disc. That's not right. The thing. Do it right. I'm gonna have to link it to do it right.
There's a girl with a lot of guns.
There we go.
I was supposed to say a GIF.
Yeah.
Please explode. Is this that one anime where the girl turns into a motorcycle after drinking fucking gasoline?
I have no fucking clue. I was coming to create a server invite. Oh, I can just directly invite you instead of having to link it. Boom. Antonio, you'll like that. Mal, I don't know if you'd like it.
Like what?
Spider Mom's Discord.
I don't know what Spider-Man does.
I'll invite you anyway. Spider Mom's lots of Lottie, who's a streamer. And the Discord's just full of cool people. It's where I met Lizzie and the people who were going to join before Lizzie and I had our fight where I kind of lost my temper and everything went badly. So, yay, that's why there's not new people in the game that the internet doesn't know anything about. So we will not discuss it further. Alright? But it's where I met them. Lots of cool people. Internet, everyone watching this in the future, all like one of you. Lots of Lottie is a fun streamer. And everyone's welcoming you. You hit the welcoming committee.
Yep.
But in any case, we have Shackled City to do.
Yep. We have dead cats to bring or resurrect.
Well, so last time you were heading upstairs back into the city of Cauldron. You've been down there long enough. I'm forgetting what time you went down originally.
We went down at night.
Okay, so it's going to be right around sunrise when you're pulling your way up.
Yeah. Yep. We also sent that message with the bird.
Yep.
Yeah, so the guy never.
And
Alright.
as you're heading up, I've got them prepped. Are you on the map in the right spot? You're not on the map in the right spot, are you?
I'm in Cauldron.
Yeah, I'm on the culture.
I mean your tokens. I thought I had little babby tokens for you to drag around on the city.
I think they're at the house.
Yep. Okay. No you. So because there's a moment here. This is 30, right? It's been a while since I've been on this map. 31. There's where you are. Okay. So you're pulling your way up out of the bathhouse. I'm assuming... Actually, no. Let's go to the bathhouse. That's an even better place to be. Because as you're pulling your way up and coming up the stairs from the bathhouse... you can see the people who are getting ready to come down.
I like that their first thing that they see is me, maskless, carrying an unconscious body.
What body are you carrying?
The wizard guy, remember we didn't kill him.
You didn't kill? Oh yeah, that's right.
You killed the girl with the other tiefling demon chick, but we didn't kill the wizard guy.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you come up, you walk through, and as soon as you walk through, she's going to draw her sword and say, Cora, you know, our good old arch nemesis Cora. That's visible so people can see it. Good old arch nemesis Cora. Let's put that like so. That everyone loves to hate. Goes, stop, foul demon! Release that in a... Shit. What's going on, Tonatium? I forget, did you guys register your adventuring party as a name with a name? It's been so long since this. Nope.
Nope.
So...
Return to Tonatium. You go, I guess they haven't seen me without my mask on.
So you're fleeing from the vampire in defeat, then?
No, we already disposed of him.
Excuse me, you're fleeing from the goblin. No, yeah, they got called in because of the vampire. As backup. That's right, because you told them about the vampire. Hello, it's been so... How long? I'm sorry.
A few weeks? We didn't do last week, so...
Yeah, we didn't do last week, and then it's been like a month before that since you've been up dealing with people on the surface. I forgot what they knew. But yeah, I remember now. The storm cloaks were put on standby because vampire.
Storm cloaks? Skyrim.
They're not called... God, I'm an idiot.
The Storm Blades.
Storm Blades. Blades. It's because of fucking Skyrim. Skyrim didn't exist when I ran this the first time, so I didn't have any problem remembering they were the Storm Blades.
The Cauldron belongs to the Nords.
Cauldron belongs to the Nords. Yeah. So yeah, she's got her sword pointed at Turvu. She's looking at you and goes, "You defeated the vampire.
Yes.
How do I know you're not the vampire's thrall?"
How do I... Well, do I look like a vampire to you? It's morning, it's sunrise, right?
Vampires can... She turns and looks towards Anna. Anna? Are the vampires thralls not allowed to go out in the sun? Anna kind of looks and shrugs. And Todd goes, they might have some psychological aversion, but there'd be no reason that they would burn. It's not as though they're vampires themselves. Ha! See? She says, looking a little less confident.
Lower your sword, please.
I'm sorry?
What? Tucker will look at Cora. Can you lower your sword, please?
She sheathes her sword and says, Who's that?
This was one of the people working with the vampire.
Oh, I see. So you rescued someone.
Well, he wasn't under possession. So we're taking him in for questioning.
She goes, very well. But I'll be watching the aftermath of this, and if there's any sign the vampire still exists, I'll see to it that your name is drug even further in the mud than it already has been. Traitor spawn. And they all leave. Good riddance.
How many more times are we going to have to deal with them?
See, what did I tell you, Downtime? Rich assholes.
Yeah. Let's call a guard and get an escort to the...
I will gladly escort you there if you stop moving.
Sorry, I paused because I forgot what exactly it was called, but...
Yeah. The guards will lead you there, and send a runner ahead, and as you arrive, Turson Skellerang is out front waiting for you and says, Orak's awake. He confirmed what you'd said. Who is this?
This was another person working under the vampire.
I see. Also, a thrall?
No, in fact, he was not possessed, and when you lock him up, make sure to bound and gag him. He is a spellcaster.
Take that under advisement. Good. What's the status update? You sent that mystical message. It was a little disconcerting. Had the Stormblades go stand on site in case you needed backup.
We've already dealt with the vampire, and we have killed the Stormblades thusly.
I see. And you tracked it down after slaying? My advisors tell me that after you kill the vampire, it returns to its grave and you must slay it again there.
We found where his body was resting, and we stabbed him there.
Good. That's a relief. Well, I'm sorry, I've been up all night worrying.
Yeah, things didn't quite go as planned, but we managed to get out alive, and we managed to kill the vampire.
It's good, good. So, and the goblins?
Mostly disposed of.
Good. If they were gathered by
There'd be stragglers.
They may be stragglers. Well, if the vampire was controlling them, they'll probably flee.
Oh yeah, that does bring up one other thing of interest is that while we were underground, we did find a tunnel that led to the bottom of the volcano.
I see. So, you're telling me that this was a secret route into the city?
Yes, sir.
I suppose we'll have to destroy it. Unless your master can furnish guards to collect taxes at that point.
It leads into the middle of the woods, so I'm not sure that's the safest option.
So, collapse the tunnel?
The best.
Probably for the best.
Yes, I'll speak with Lord Vanderborn about that. You look like you could use some rest. Before you go, Auric wanted to speak with you.
Alright. Oh yeah. Here's your goblin ears. I say as I drop the bag full of them. 40
Excellent.
for each. Count them if you must.
I'll count them and pay them out. And how many are there?
44 ears.
I'll have the money ready for you when you're done speaking with Auric.
Thank you.
That's a nice chunk of gold. So as you get into Auric, he stands up and he goes, "Oi, you're the ones who clocked me over the head. Set me free."
Apologies if we did any actual damage to you.
I was so groggy. I kept hearing him whispering and whispering. I have to. No, I'm free. I'm pretty sure you're the ones to thank. He says, I have an account at the local bank of sorts, Sky's Treasury. He asks the guard for a pen and a paper, and he writes down an account number. As far as I'm concerned, the contents there are yours for setting me free, and no charges for baths for at least the next month. We'll revisit that based on financial need in the future.
A generous offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, you wouldn't happen to know if any of the clerics are capable of resurrection, would you?
The most powerful clerics are the clerics of Ouijas. I'm not certain you'll like how whoever you get resurrected will come back if that's who you're seeking to speak to. But they're the most powerful. And so too is the head of the Church of St. Cuthbert. The GM needs to look up their name because you haven't met them yet. They've been out. And it would help if the GM looks in the proper chapter. Sarkum de Lashorn. Sarkum de Lashorn also has that power, but he's currently out of town. He's been in Sasserine for a while, taking part in the dedication of a new shrine. At least, that's what she tells me. She being... Where the hell is her token?
Genius?
Yeah. Genya, that's her name. Is it on the map?
Yep. Yeah, it's on the culture map.
Of course it is. Okay, Genya. I'm looking through the temple going, where the hell is... Or I can't remember her name. Genya. Genya said he was out of town on the shrine. A bit like that. Those are who you'd want to be speaking to about such things. Why? Did you have another member of your group who perished?
It's my cat.
Well, far be it from me to criticize what you do with your funds, but spending that much to resurrect a cat? Probably wiser just to get a new one. You know, considering you would know resurrections cost thousands of gold. You know, like decades of people's income. For a cat? He doesn't know how important this cat is to you. How could he?
But he does have a point. We don't exactly have that kind of money on us right now.
Depends. You do have like that giant thing of floating treasure behind you.
Oh yeah, that chest.
Yep, he is kind of looking at that. And the guards have been looking at that, and everyone's kind of like very nonchalant about all that.
Yeah, the chest.
I imagine Turku's scared like half the town walking over here.
Let's see, we have that many in silver pieces. And that many in copper pieces.
Yep, and from the treasure I found, we have a total of 455 gold pieces for that.
How much gold pieces, Mal?
455.
And then
Along with...
you got that from the ears right now. I'm doing a quick crunch here. So
along with a vest of protection +1 and a +1 scale now.
oh, that's not gold. So there's the GP that you pulled out of that dungeon, including ears. Mostly in lesser coins. Because, most people don't carry around wads of $1,000 bills.
I do. I'm currently on my person carrying 1,000 GP.
That would be carrying $1,000 bills. I mean, GP's worth of it.
I still gotta
Actually, more like $100 bills. More like $100 bills. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I still gotta make that wand again.
Well, what do you want to do? You know what you need. You know the list of things you want to do. What order do you wish to tackle these things in?
Why don't we check out what Orion's bank account looks like?
I guess we could. Can we stop by the house first?
Mm-hmm.
Unload all your stuff back at the house.
Yep.
Ding ding, so you do. You stop off at the house, you drop everything off, including the remains of Twig. Rigor mortis has set in.
Let's see. This guy's just 17. Where is that? There it is.
Oh.
Huh. It's on the same ring as my house.
Yes, it is. Or at least the back door of it is.
Oh.
The front door is on this little connecting road. So it's more of a walk up, around, and then go in the front sort of deal. So we're in Sky's treasury. I suppose I should summarize what it looks like here. Sky's treasury, number 17. So when you first step into the treasury, you see weapons in a glass case. Not lots of them, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, each very carefully aligned. And as you get near this glass case, you realize there's a magical field of force between you and the glass case. So you can see the glass case, you can see those weapons, but there's this kind of field of force, and that funnels you around. And there you can see more items, scrolls, rings, all in glass cases, all sealed away from the public by these clear fields of force. And at the back of the shop, there's a very nice looking table where a gnome is sitting. She is wearing nice embroidered gold robes and is flipping through an arcane tome, glasses on her head. And as you kind of walk in, she says, "Look around if you will, but I wouldn't waste your time unless you have a lot of money."
I see.
If you're here for potions of cure light wounds, just knock on the back door. My assistant will take care of the small fry.
Who do I go to if I have a note?
She looks up and she goes, "You are Tonatium. You're Vanderboren's new adventurer. Did you bring me new merchandise?" I assume it's a note of introduction from Vanderboren, yes?
Actually, it seems to be a note from Auric.
She actually looks very hurt for a moment before she goes, "Well, I suppose I should see it. Sky Alderson, at your service."
Tonatium, and this is my partner, Targu.
Kirby will just like shyly wave from behind Tonatium since he still doesn't have his mask on.
You have your eyes open, I assume.
Yes.
She's looking at that, just going, like, with a look in her eyes of, how do you make that happen? That uncomfortable curiosity. Well, yes, note. It's his account number. Did he send you to clear it out?
Seems so. Yeah, I think it's like it's supposed to be a reward for us helping him.
Ah, well, let me transfer this over into your name. One of you needs to take ownership. I don't do joint accounts. It always ends messy.
Alright, then put it in Mike. We'll have it under my name.
She pulls out a book, pulls out a little... Gosh, I forgot the spell components for this. Let me pull them up. So professional. Okay, so there's that, and then there is... Really? Okay. There's no spell components at all, so she just pulls out a sheet of paper, flips it over, and looks at it, and goes, "All right, Ashaz Savos Shah," and runs her finger along one part of one line, and then Unam Bisvizasan, and runs it over again. The first one, you can see Auric Stone Eye get removed, and then as she runs it over again, she says, "Tonatium Treasonson." Very well. So, I suppose you'll want to see the contents then.
Of course.
Well, at one time, he had a very, very full account here. Very nice, but alas, not so much now. And she pulls out a little drawer, uses a spell to unlock it, and just kind of dumps out 4 small orange gems. That's what's left.
4 small orange gems.
Yep.
Let's see. I will appraise it.
They're each worth pretty much exactly 100 gold. Yep. Auric kept saying he was gonna find someone to enchant them, but he never did. I'll take them off your hands directly if you like. Close out the account. Unless you want to put some magic items up for sale.
Kirby will pull out the vest of protection +1 and the +1 scale mail.
Well, I suppose I can go hang this one up right next to the chainmail. And this one's tough. Do I put it next to the cloak? Or I suppose I put it with the armor. Yes. She starts jotting down notes in the ledger using her hand. kind of silently doing this little cantrip as she looks over these things. Casting, 2 spells at once, it looks like. Very skilled sort of person. Now, I suppose, so you didn't open this account, so you haven't read the terms. I assume you can read?
I can read.
Excellent. She pulls out one heck of a terms and conditions agreement, clearly written by a lawyer on her behalf. Long and short of it is, you place a magic item with me, I give you half of its, let's say, wholesale value up front, and once I sell it, I place the other half into your account. You can come by whenever, claim your account. If your account gets particularly large, I'll send you a message to say, hey, these extra dimensional spaces can only hold so many coins. Sound like a deal?
All right. Let's say, you have something to sign this with?
Technically, you were supposed to sign it before I updated the ledger, so it's fine. So let's see. We're looking at then a suit of +1 scale mail. I need the scale mail numbers. Okay, so that'll be 540 gold up front. She says as she takes the scale mail and sets it aside. And this vest of protection, it looks like. That's rather nice. That will end up being 1150 up front.
Quite a pretty penny.
Indeed it is. And now we'll put them up for sale and we'll see how long it takes for them to go.
Just so we're clear, kid, we just got like that half price upfront in our account, right?
Yep. She's actually, as she's doing it, pulling out coins and stacking them. So there's actually a total of 169 platinum in a stack, in a series of stacks on the table. Platinum.
Dang.
She's this place deals in the big bucks. Treated 400 gold as nothing.
I wonder what those orange gems actually are aside from being orange.
They would be carnelians.
Carnelians?
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to pull up an image of one?
Yes, please.
Something like that. Actually, because I'm showing this on the internet, let's go ahead and say something like that, so that the internet can see it too. On stream. Ooh. Pretty gem. Get out of here, pretty gem. Yeah, this guy's sitting there going, wonderful, wonderful. And of course, if you want to make any purchases, you most certainly may. I sell everything at a 25% markup over value. So that's what you'll see. Everything should be priced. If you don't see something priced, feel free to ask. If you need something custom, ask. I'll see if I can put in an order. But it's hard to find. You know, it's not like people are willing to sacrifice their souls to make magic items for nothing. Like, I remember once I heard of some fool who kept making wands of magic missile until he shaved 20 years off of his life. He'd just make one, go into a dungeon, waste it, make another, go into a dungeon, waste it. Died at 45.
Jeez. Oh, jeez, and I made that and your wand.
Of course, I've also seen people who made wands nearly daily who lived to be 130, so it may have been a heart problem and not a wearying of the soul.
Probably will take a small look around the room, see if there's anything interesting.
There's an inventory.
Oh, there's an inventory.
There's an inventory.
Maybe you should try to look for something specific if you want to go window shopping.
Or you can hang on a second and I will share the inventory.
Yeah, that way if I find anything that catches my eye, my non-existent smoky eyes.
Let's see.
There's 2 more items that didn't make that list. There you go.
Wand of Melf's acid area.
That's acid arrow.
A note of climbing. Oh, there's a handy haversack.
Yeah.
That's a handy haversack.
Like a small bag of holding.
Yeah. There's a type 1 bag of holding.
There's a hat of disguise.
Yeah, it's a little red fez with a purple. Get out of here, kamikaze fly. That's the worst thing about it being so damn hot is the kamikaze flies.
What does a ring of feather falling do?
It's a ring, and when you fall more than a certain distance, it automatically casts Featherfall.
That's pretty neat. Sadly, you only have a potion of that's not even a potion of charisma. That's a potion of house wisdom. There's a golem.
Sorry, one moment. The kamikaze fly's got itself stuck between my back and my chair.
Yeah.
There we are. It's out. Hopefully it stays out. Okay. I'm sorry. What were you saying? Or asking?
No? No, he's muted.
Is Mal fighting his own kamikaze fly?
Perhaps. You'll never know. Might as well take a look at more of these spells.
Sadly, she does not have a scroll of minor creation.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot my max HP is currently 9 because of that whole thing.
You are like old. You're like an awfully old man right now.
Not old, just anemic. I think it's what you call it.
Yep. While he's looking around, I'll give you a chance to make a perception check, Tonatium.
Perception. Oh yeah, I don't have. Let's see. Okay.
So while he's looking around, you can see that she's kind of leaned over and started petting a taxidermied cat on her desk. She doesn't look particularly happy as she does so. Her eyes are vacant and slightly distant. A 1,000-yard stare sort of thing.
What's going on?
Oh, she snaps out. Oh, nothing. Just memories. You're not going to be looking around. I see that your friend is.
Yeah, I guess I'll stick with him. I'm just looking for something real fast. I should probably do a better job of organizing my equipment.
That sounds like a wonderful thing to do on your time.
Yep.
I say being the person who probably should have reviewed all these people's names before we got started.
It happens.
Yes. Especially when one spends all day after a long weekend of catching up, just watching and watching and watching our... Yeah. Quest and Chaos is good. You guys have heard me whine about how you should watch that a lot.
I don't think it's very smart to talk about other more popular D&D sessions. Or like
Their Call of Cthulhu game is wonderful, and it doesn't compete with us. It's on Wednesdays,
Oh, good.
Yay.
and no one watches this anyway. Yay! I have learned that the 5 regular viewers that we get are bots that are involved in major streamers' host raffles.
Why would they come over here then?
They go everywhere apparently.
Yeah. They run about.
Yeah, they just go on every stream that's Pathfinder or D&D. One of them does every stream. It's a thing. But anyway, yeah. Is there anything you wish to buy, sell, do, inquire on?
I wish to inquire on that ring of protection.
Do we have a ring of protection?
I don't know.
You got like a necklace or something.
I have a necklace of natural armor, I think.
In this wood stack, because it's a armor bonus, not a natural armor bonus.
Let's see, we have the amulet of natural armor.
Yeah. She wants 2,000 gold for the ring of protection.
That's a lot of mines.
Yeah.
That would be 200 platinum. So, you almost have all of what you need for that from your down payments on those other things.
Or that with the gems we have from Oric.
That's not going to quite fill it up, will it? Yes, it will. That will take you up the rest of the way. So if you really want that ring of protection, you can get it.
I don't really need it. But I don't see much use of those orange gems anyway. The same as I already lost where they were. Oh, there they are. Again, I really need to clean this up.
Not much of this stuff interests Strider.
Okay. Not even a certain wand near the bottom?
I mean, the wand of cure moderate wounds with 22 charges.
Yeah.
And how much would that run me?
1,980 gold.
I don't have that kind of money, I don't think.
Well, you could always get that instead of the Ring of Protection.
You could do that.
Okay.
Well, let me just sell the orange gems, I guess.
Okay. She gives you 400 gold for it. Although, again, she gives you 40 platinum instead because she doesn't deal in chump change.
Okay, so 169 platinum plus 40?
40 platinum.
So there's 209 platinum.
Yep.
And the wand will cost how much platinum?
198.
So let's still have some left over.
Yep.
Okay, so 209 minus
198.
98. 92. Oh, that's 200. That's whoops.
290, 209.
It would make for a terrible accountant.
Can we buy like your moderate wounds wand?
Guess so. It's all yours.
Mod wound.
And as she makes this transaction, goes, by the way, are you like rich debutantes or adventurers?
Adventurers.
Really?
Well, we're just starting out, to be honest.
Oh, what's your group's name?
We don't have one.
You don't have one?
Why? Should we have one?
Well, you're registered, right?
Really came up.
That's required for the registration paperwork, isn't it?
I don't recall that we filled that in. Yeah. Perhaps we should talk it over.
I will remind you, and this is my memory, I think you told Vanderborn, oh, just make something up, we don't care.
I wonder what he made up now.
So I take it.
Don't know.
I take it you got this from. I take it you got all of this from an adventure.
Yes. He literally just came back.
Ooh. Any spicy gossip? Any fun details?
We murdered a vampire.
There was
My
a
cat
vampire.
died.
I'm sorry?
My cat died.
With that, she gets that same 1,000-yard stare. Only this time, she reaches out and takes your hand and says, I am so sorry. What was their name?
Twig.
Do you want to talk about it? Like you can see, she's on the verge of tears here.
I'm just like Kirby standing in the background, like holding his hand over his mouth, almost laughing.
Turvu, you can see a taxidermied cat on her counter.
Was that one of your familiars?
She looks to the cat. She says, Newt was my only familiar.
You'd have got a new one.
How could I? He knows. He understands the connection. Newt was so aggressive and stupid, always getting in the way, trying to protect me. And then we stupidly woke up that dragon when we were sneaking through its or fought is a very liberal term. It slaughtered us.
You have my condolences.
And you mine. You mine.
As Kirby pulls out Death Skull from his pocket.
You take care of your familiar, young man.
No, he's not my familiar.
Mm-hmm. She leans over to Death Skull and whispers, as gnomes are able to do to small animals. And what is your name? I'm Death Skull, and I think they killed my master, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that.
He's not dead. He's just in jail.
Unconscious.
Why are they putting him in jail?
Because
I realize I don't know what they're talking about.
you don't know what they're talking about. Me and her do.
Yeah. Why is he in jail?
Because he was very bad.
He was always nice to me.
He tried to kill you.
I'm sure it was a misunderstanding. I'm his familiar, after all. The lizard kind of rolls its eye up. I can feel... He's rather angry with himself. Oh, they're hurting him! Ow! Why are they hurting him? And she looks to you, Mal, and says, it's unwise to keep an enemy's familiar with you. Even one as precious as this little boy.
I don't know what else to do with him.
Oh, come here, little boy. I'll help take care of you. She holds out her hands.
Careful. We'll let Death Skull climb into her hands if he wants to.
Death Skull will, and he'll be like, hi, you're really, really short. She goes, yes, I am. This is Newt. Hi, Newt. Newt doesn't say much, does he? No. Newt's dead. Dead? That sounds like death. That's my name. I don't think your name tells me your master's not a very nice person. Sure he is. He feeds me beetles and bugs. Yes, yes. Why don't I take care of you until he's done with his prison? You'll probably feel some pain again. Prison's not pleasant, is my understanding. Okay. And she looks up and she says, thank you so much. Please, feel free to come by any time, even if it's just to tell me tales of your adventures. I can't bring myself to go out anymore, but I do love the stories.
Maybe if we come by, I can entertain you with some juggling or something.
Well, please don't. There's a lot of walls of force around here, and I don't want to damage anything. I forgot to mention the most important thing about the Sky's Treasury as you come in from outside. The sign is literally orbited by a pile of gold and silver coins. And the outside of her shop is covered in arcane runes. Or at least they look arcane. I don't suppose any of you speak gnome.
Nope.
Okay, then yeah.
Sabu says I just know the gnome alphabet. That's it.
Then you'll actually recognize that these runes seem to be sigils crafted from the gnome alphabet.
Just like back in there.
In
I
fact,
don't even want to say it.
I'll let you make a perception check. No, you're fine. Nothing bad happens to you. You're good.
Okay.
Perry will turn to Sky and ask if she would know anywhere that he could potentially get a weapon enchanted.
She says as she rubs her chin. It's tough to get somebody to specifically enchant a weapon. Because again, you're imposing some of their soul. You may want to speak down at Blue Water Academy. That's the home of most of the wizards in town. Although I will say, good luck getting in contact with any of them. They tend to be a little reclusive, busy.
If you're a pace.
Oh, hey! We have someone who's complaining that they aren't a bot. Hi, Erla Mithrius. You were not on my users and chat list when I had closed it just before saying that everyone watching was a bot. Hi.
All the bots.
Yeah, we are all bots.
No, you.
Some of us are just fleshier bots than others.
They're on to me.
You fleshy bot. But yes, so I assume you wrapped up then at Skies.
Seems like it.
Okay. What are you up to then? I suppose at this point you have Twig's funeral. Apparently we want to go talk to the folk at the Blue Water Academy. I am so bad with names today. I'm gonna blame the damned heat. So we have Twigs. We have the situation of the dead and slowly decaying cat in your shop. We have the weapon that you want enchanted. We have a long rest for Tonatium after nearly getting drained by a vampire. Is there anything else on our list that I'm forgetting?
On Friday, I still gotta go tutor. Keep forgetting his name.
Tutor Vanderborn?
I think so.
Or not Vanderborn, Valantru. Why have I been saying Vanderborn? Valantru.
You have to talk. Yeah, you have to tutor Valantru on.
I keep saying Vanderborn when I mean Valantru.
But that will be on like Prairie Day, like after the whole praying stuff.
Okay. Sure. I forget what day of the week it is, but we can make it whatever day we need it to be.
It's supposed to make sure that like we can know that we're all right, or I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, Lord Valantru, good old Lord Valantru, over here by the wall at his nice estate.
It's actually really close to the house.
It is. Oh my gosh, it is.
And it's actually really close to the Blue Water Academy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not actually close considering how far out of the way you have to go to get to Lord Valantru's.
Cut out of it. Oh, there we go.
From there, you can go up to the academy, and then you can go back and up and up and back to Lord Valantru's estate.
Kick me.
Unf. If I kick you, you'll be off the server. You'll probably want to disconnect.
I had a faulty connection for a few seconds.
Let's see if that helps. I disconnected rather than kicking, so that maybe this works. I realized I had a disconnect button instead of a kick button, which I need to make note of because I keep kicking people instead of disconnecting them, and I didn't realize I had that button. Does it work now, or do I actually have to kick you?
Connect to server, kit game. There we go.
Oh, you meant map tool. Oh, okay. I was looking at Discord. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes a lot more. It's 100 degrees here, and my AC kicks out over 90. Okay, it's been 100 degrees here for like 2 months. I'm pissed off.
I understand. I should have been more specific.
Yeah. Also, I can bitch to you, Antonio, because you know my pain.
Yeah. At least soon you'll come to near where I live, so you won't be as hot.
There's issues with that I'm not going to discuss on stream because it's an ongoing legal affair.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. What should we do first? Character will look to do.
Yeah, that is 1 inch. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying before, my disconnection got all jiggy. I was thinking we should probably go to the Temple of Palor so I can get the services for
Palor?
Sun God?
So St. Cuthbert is the ones you've been dealing with the most. Their high priest is the one who's out of town. And Ouijas is the other temple that has a person who might be able to reincarnate or resurrect. If you just want a funeral, maybe Palor, the sun god, if that would make sense if you're just going funeral. If you decided not to bring your cat, not to try to convince someone to bring your cat back to life.
I'm just trying to think. It is a lot of money.
And we have Turver over here who worships a different god entirely.
Which god do you worship? I forget.
Litamara.
Ah, the god of thieves.
And fun.
And not having a temple in Cauldron.
Yeah. See, me walking to other people's churches like, yeah, what's up?
Oh. What are you going to do? Do you want to go to the Temple of Palor?
Where is the Temple of Palor? The Temple of Palor is 33.
Yes. It's a relatively small temple, which kind of, perhaps ironically, for a Temple of the Sun, it's kind of in a shadow a lot of the day because kind of the sun comes this way and the very, very tall spire at the Church of Ouijas kind of casts a shadow over the Church of Palor.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea to have it there. If that's what you want.
Man, if I actually put the gold together, I'd probably... I don't know. It's just... I don't know what to do.
Well, what do you want to do?
I really would want Twig back.
Okay, so that means you're going to have to talk to St. Cuthbert or to Ouijas. And if you talk to St. Cuthbert, they're going to have him possibly come back from Sasserine, which will take at least a week. So then you'd be in the...
best bet is Ouijas.
Yes. So your best bet is to go to the Temple of the Goddess of Death.
Uh-oh, did I disconnect again?
No?
No, we just got quiet.
Yeah, we're waiting for you to make a decision.
I don't know. What would I know about Ouijas?
So Ouijas is the neutral goddess of death, a lawful neutral goddess of death. She is not like Pharasma. She's not opposed to undeath. A lot of her followers are necromancers. She's also the goddess of magic. So a lot of wizards worship her. Her people tend to deal with the unclaimed dead, the dead of the poor, and with people who are interested in magic.
We pretty much apply to all of those.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's worth a shot, I guess.
Okay.
Alright, so we stopping by your house, picking up twigs, and then going to the church.
Okay. So I think I have this somewhere. Give me one moment to find and or make a token.
Now, I welcome the idea that Kirby has just been living in Tony Cheatham's house.
I thought I finished that area with tokens. Apparently I did not. That's a note for something I need to do. So let me make a token.
Yay.
I thought I made tokens for all of these important people, but apparently I did not. So you'll need to give me one moment here as I flip through this book and try to find the art, which is never in quite the appropriate spot. No, you wouldn't attract their attention right away.
Yeah, we wouldn't attract their attention. It's not like a half-demon person that is walking through their doorstep.
Well, you wouldn't attract that person's attention right away. You would attract a lower cleric's attention right away. So as you go in, I think I will bring your tokens into the temple itself. So, un momento. This is one of those nice mapped locations. Where have I got you? There, I've got you. Make sure that I don't accidentally reveal something I don't want to reveal. There we go. That's probably a good position. So, are you at the view yet?
Yes.
So you can see here the map, the great doors to the Citadel of Ouijas, which towers overhead. It's probably the tallest building in Cauldron.
Fancy.
Do you wish to go in?
Yeah.
Give you a moment to see that and have any reactions to it.
There's a very big marking on the ground of a red skull thing.
That is the holy symbol of Ouijas. This huge octagonal room has all of those pews lined up very orderly. At the far end of the room, there's kind of this elevated dais where you'd expect to see an altar, but there is no altar. And just the floor is exquisitely tiled in this image of the holy symbol of Ouijas, which is itself a likeness of the face of their goddess. And throughout the room, you can see people praying and people working. And one cleric comes up to you. She is holding a skull, and she presents the skull to you, putting her own head behind it as she speaks. What brings you here to death's door?
I have come with a request to bring my cat back from the dead.
She lowers the skull a little, and you can see she's trying not to laugh. Trying and failing, and she just goes, "Your cat? Buy a new one." I mean, I shouldn't. I mean, different people value different things. What sort of resurrection would you like? Is it sufficient to preserve it beautifully in its current form? Do you want it to be able to walk around a little around the house?
Well, he's my familiar, so I would at least need him to function and not scare people when going out.
I see. All right. Well, in that case, the GM needs to find their name again. I admit I wasn't quite expecting you to come this way. So,
Me neither.
Me neither.
So, I don't have their token made, so I need to pull their art up. She's just gonna go, okay. She grabs someone else and says, "We're going to need probably Ike or Calmus. Probably shouldn't bother Ike with this." And the other person nods and heads off down the way as the GM tries to find an image of this person. So I can bring it in. That's that person. That's... Where are you? This book is wonderfully laid out, but this is back in the days when you would just kind of describe the person, and people wouldn't do this, and GMs would be like, "Oh, well, I don't mention it, you'll never know." And then I stupidly mention it, so you know. So I just need to find them. Are you in this? No, you're not. So that means you'll be over in that section. Assuming that I can find you here. That's shit art. I'm not going to use that art. That's why I can't find them. The art here is shit.
Yeah.
I will just grab some other art. There you are. That is a wonderful image for Calmus. This serves my purposes perfectly. So, the person who she sent off nervous returns, followed by someone masked and robed, who was apparently in just the next room. The person walks up and goes, "Javanna, what is it?" They're wearing this white mask. Their robes are blood red. And she says, They need to speak about resurrection. She steps back and bows as he walks over and says, "Very well. Resurrection is an expensive procedure. Would you like to come to my office to speak of it?"
Of course.
"Please follow." As he just walks up the center of the way where this altar would be. And instead you can see where an altar should be. There's this pool of water. He walks around. And then just kind of comes into this little corner here. Not really an office. It's not really an office. There's nothing to sit. It's just kind of an empty area out of sight. And goes, "Very well. This is where I conduct business as necessary. Now, reincarnation and resurrection are expensive deals. I assume you're going to want something like raise dead, possibly."
If possible, yes.
"Very well. So, when it comes to that, I can indeed possibly cast that spell. What level do you have to be to cast that spell? I know what level he is. Come on, where's my clerics? I forgot what level a cleric has to be to cast that spell. This is me not worrying about rules coming back to bite me in the ass. So I cannot cast that spell. To cast that spell, we will need to involve Ike himself. He is quite busy, so we will need to be prepared in advance. We have a little over a week, assuming they've died in the last day.
Dave died last night.
So let's say 1 week to be safe. We will need their remains. We will need the payment in total up front, which is how much does that cost? This is the sort of thing that I would have calculated beforehand if I actually thought you would do it.
Yeah, to be fair, I was still on the fence.
It's fine. So it is and what level is he? He is that level, so it would be yes. So in total, the cost for a resurrection is 5,780 gold pieces. If you have the appropriate diamond or healing ointments, then we can reduce that price down to 780 for simply the time it takes for Master Ike to finish his spell casting.
You don't have the herbs, and you don't. Guess this is the part where I start pulling up the money I have on me.
If you cannot afford that, then my question would be, who do you want raised and for what purpose? And we may be able to find an alternative.
It's my familiar.
Get a new one? Spoken clearly as someone who doesn't have a familiar. Well, I mean, okay, Last time that there was a familiar and someone came in here was that gnome Sky. They gave it to me, and I put a permanent minor spell on it so it would not decay and would remain appropriately attractive forever, and that's an alternative.
No, I do not want that. I don't believe that's what Twig would want.
Very well. Well, we don't work on credit. We don't do anything like that. We're...
I understand.
If you want them preserved, if you want them raised, if you want them enhanced to be a guardian, we can do things like that for cheaper. But it sounds like you want an actual resurrection, and for that we'd need Ike's involvement, and, well, the bulk of the cost is simply acquiring the appropriate oils and herbs. He holds up his finger just for one moment as he takes off the mask and adjusts it to kind of push down something that seemed to have been jabbing into him irritatingly. And you can see that his face is emaciated, almost mummified, and his eyes are hollow with little red flames as he puts the mask back on. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm a busy man.
I see. I won't keep you much longer then.
Thank you. If you find the money within the next week, we will be glad to arrange something. If you need our services in cremation, we are glad to do that for you also. The pricing for that is 5 silver pieces. And then plus the cost of whichever urn you'd like.
I'll keep it in mind.
He nods and says, well, farewell. And thus you leave the Cathedral of Ouijas. I'm going to go back and take you to the orphanage because that's kind of the neutral spot on this map. And then we'll go back to Cauldron. Sorry for the bad news, and we should totally not have her as the marker for the temple because she is not particularly important. Let's have Kalmus as the marker for the temple. What'd you think of Kalmus?
Well, I think I finally found someone more weird than I am.
Tonatium, if you have knowledge religion, you may make knowledge religion.
I could do that.
So there are those who pursue the path of Ouijas, who undertake a lifelong discipline that, if it is successful, causes them to become liches at the time of their death. Because Ouijas, they hold, was the first lich before she became a goddess, and wrenched part of the portfolio of death away from Nerul. So he's not a lich yet, but you think he's working along that path. Yeah. He's a nice fella. He didn't laugh at you about the cat. That's a first.
That's a first.
And he didn't look at me oddly about my appearance.
No, he
Probably
absolutely
because he was
didn't.
almost just the same.
Yeah.
His eyes are also hollow.
Well, it doesn't look like they're hollow like yours are. More like he removed them. Like there was scarring and little bits of the dried blood. So they're like your eyes, but worse.
Mine are weird because they're empty, but I can blink.
Yep. It's a long, painful route. But yeah. So I take it then, Tonatium, you're going to just have a funeral for Twig?
Yeah, I'm thinking even if I pile up all the funds together through this mess of an idleness, I don't think it's enough.
Well, are you going to just give him a nice little burial in the back garden?
Let's see.
Leave it all nice and quiet, not get any temples involved? Or are you going to go to Palor? What all's going to be involved?
I think I'll talk to the Church of Palor for the funeral service.
All right. So when you get to the Church of Palor, it is a small, empty building, not even deserving of a map. Which makes it the first church. Makes it the first church you've been to that doesn't have a map.
Yeah, but Tonatium is familiar with this place.
Yes. You're familiar with it. You're familiar with how all but the most junior priest vanished mysteriously. And that most junior priest is there, very dutifully taking place of everything as you come in. And he turns and he goes, Tonatium, I have not seen you in ages. How are you, brother?
Could be better. Could be better, Father.
Oh, you shouldn't call... I am Father, aren't I? I suppose I should stop pretending they'll be coming back. He kind of flinches. My son. If no one else is around, do you mind terribly if we continue to address each other as brother? Because I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy at all.
Yeah. I could do that for you.
What's wrong?
Drake finally bit the dust.
Has he been ill?
No. We were exploring a cave. It was full of orcs. Drake did not make it.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry.
If it wasn't for him, we might never have made it out.
A noble sacrifice. Would you like me to call the congregation for a service?
Yes, please.
I'll put out notices. How does prayer day sound?
That sounds lovely. That sounds okay.
Wonderful. And of course, no charge, but any donations you can make, as usual, are appreciated. He smiles as he kind of attempts to avoid looking at some of the crumbling plaster on the building.
Trevor will flick a gold coin in this direction.
He will catch it and say, "Much obliged. Would you be terribly upset if we held it at the pavilion, lakeside? I know the smell is bad, but then at least death isn't casting her shadow over us, and we can present Twig to the sun."
That sounds lovely. As I say, give him 3 gold pieces.
He's almost on the verge of tears as you do. He goes, "Thank you so much. Are you sure you can afford this?"
I've been through a lot, but this is just a fraction of the fortune I have made.
I will I'll be able to replaster the inside of the... I may actually... This might give us a down payment on a new site where we can praise to the sun again. I'll have to speak to the city officials. Thank you. Thank you. I'll start writing a eulogy. Will you want to speak?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's up to you. If you're not comfortable with it, then that's perfectly fine. And he will sit there, talking or not talking, being in company with you as much as you need. Almost as though this is a small temple with very few parishioners and he has lots of time on his hands.
That's bigger than what I have. Which is nothing.
Oh, thieves don't normally build temples. And his is a temple to the god of the sun that the sun does not reach because of a temple to the goddess of death.
Yeah.
Not a great look. Totally not ominous indeed. Well,
sorry, kid. I'm a bit choked up at the moment.
that's okay. So am I. Our viewer picked the very depressing time to show up. Assuming they haven't been here this entire time and I just didn't notice because I've never looked at chat.
Who looks at chat?
Yeah. I mean, I normally don't have any opportunity to, but it's almost as though with this session I don't need to keep referencing what's in different rooms and tracking all these different goblins and what they're up to.
It's almost like this session is completely downtime.
That reminds me.
I'm going to lead into several weeks of downtime.
Don't do. Very, very sickly.
What's your constitution at now?
My constitution is 13 minus 8.
Your constitution is 5.
But I also have that negative level.
Oh god, your constitution is 4.
Did you make your save against the negative level?
I already failed that.
Oh yeah, so you just have that permanently there. Ouch. Just ouch. Tonatium is not had a great week.
And I was actually about to ask if there's something you could do about that.
I don't know. Yes, there is. It's going to be a rather expensive thing that requires a high-level cleric. Would be another case of going to speak to Calmus. In this case, though, Calmus would actually be able to do it.
Perhaps another day. I don't know.
For 2,280 gold.
Jesus.
It would heal 1 negative level.
It's closer, but I think I'll do that another time then. Once I figured out the gold.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just write down a note on my to-do list thing.
It's effectively a permanent. It's effectively a permanent bad sitting on you.
Really, you wish help from the vampire fight eventually.
Yeah.
And let's put down the amount of gold it'll cost 2. Was it Jowie or Ouija?
Ouijas.
Ouijas. Okay.
Shall we? Shall we, the god of death?
Oh no. Yeah. I'll be back. I just need to drink some water or something.
Okay, and it'll only take you a week of rest to recover all of that.
Well, I do not have enough money for that enchantment item.
You want so much more than you have.
The sharding enchantment's a +2, so it's 8,000 GP.
It's
800 GP.
almost as though you're thinking about things appropriate for your level, and you're super over leveled because there's only 2 of you.
Yeah.
So your treasure is going to be way less than you'd expect for your level.
Alright, I'm back. Got my drink.
Welcome back. It should only take you 4 days of uninterrupted rest to recover your constitution damage. It recovers at 2 per day of full rest instead of 1 per week of full rest. That's a change in the rule system. Yeah. So yeah. You have, let's say, 2 days until prayer day. Is Tonatium just gonna lay down and rest for 2 days?
Cargo, is there something you need me to do?
Not that I can't do on my own.
Okay.
I'll just probably lay in bed, by the way, if you can, if you really want an enchanted weapon so bad, could you get some of my textbooks from the shelf? There's not much to do while in bed, so I might as well study up on how to enchant weapons.
So studying does not permit you to rest.
Yeah.
This is you lay in bed and you sleep for that period of time.
Yeah.
You're very ill, essentially. You can study if you want to, but you will only recover 1 damage per day.
In that case, I just want to be as better as I can.
Yep. Okay. So that's going to leave 2 days of Tonatium out. What's Turvu doing?
Well, since I'm pretty sure that the enchanted weapon is out of the table.
Go get some groceries while you're at it.
Wow. I'm
You've been
very
running-
apparently.
We've been running on rations and visits to the inn taverns.
Sure, Turvu, you can go to the groceries if you want.
Sure. I'll do that. I'll put that on my list of to-dos.
Okay. So we're going to hand wave that slightly into kind of just your general expenses, which is a good time to bring up general expenses because we're going into a long period of downtime. So essentially every month you'll pay a certain amount to live at a certain level, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, what cost of living do you want to keep? You have to do at least 100 because you have the room you're in. Yes. And this is going to so 100 a month is your rent. In addition, in addition, you have a additional sort of standard of living. So that can be poor, average, wealthy, or extravagant. Those normally include your house, but because this shop has that elevated rent, I'm going to take that out of these. So you have to choose at least average, which would end up being 50 gold pieces per month. And would just include all of your food and any non-magical expenditures of 1 gold or less. So you just want to be like, hey, we have some candles here. We have candles here. You can go to wealthy, which would end up being 500 gold per month. And that would mean you don't track any expenditures of 5 or less. You could go to wealthy and seek a larger dwelling, in which case that'd be 1,000 gold, and you'd get a sizable house with multiple rooms. Or you could go up to extravagant, which is 10,000 gold per month, and doesn't track any expenditures of 25 or less, and gets like a mansion.
I think I'll just stick with the average.
Okay.
So rent's 100, the living's 50. Is this 50 each?
It is 50 each, yes. So let's say 100 gold pieces for each of you would cover everything.
And how much silver is required for 100?
1,000.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So you'll need to fork that over every month.
Yeah, I can fork over the silver, 1,000 silver for now.
Okay. So
I can do that.
we'll just deduct that, and then for the next month of game time, you don't need to worry about meals or minor expenditures
Alright.
or rent on this building. And we're just Turvu's running out and about and getting these things, and people are like, oh! And then you're like, I have money, I'm buying groceries. And they're like, who's the great wizard in this place who summoned a demon to do their bidding? And you know, I don't know if Turvu corrects them on that or informs them of Tonatium.
This is my summoning.
You can say that if you want.
I don't think so.
No.
The Trevor would just like say, oh, this is a tiefling.
So you just correct them every time and get increasingly irritated.
Basically.
Let's see, 2,000 GP per visitor level. Yeah, even that's expensive.
How much money do you have?
I have at least 600 gold. At least that's in my wallet. I still need to sort through everything else. Things I need to sort through includes the chest.
Do you think you want to pool our money together to get me a headband of alluring charisma?
Well, let me first calculate the expenses it would be to summon a new familiar. 200 GP per wizard level. Do I take negative level in account of that?
I'm sorry?
Do I take the negative level in account of this
Yeah.
familiar summoning expenses?
Yes.
So it'd be which level 5?
Level 6 is one negative level.
Yep. I'll say yes. I don't know if it's true, but I'll say yes anyway.
Okay, so that's... We need 1,000... I need 1,000 GP to summon a new familiar. Significantly less than our other options, but still.
Yeah.
So let's see, my wallet, I have a flat 610. If we take account of that bold gems, oh wow, that's already, we have bold gems that goes down to 2,010 GP. Actually, could you but that's if we sell them.
What gems?
It's a bowl of gems. I can put down the list here.
Which the oh, those gems. Okay, that's a lot of gems.
There's a lot of gems.
And we know they're worth total. It's 2010 gold pieces.
Hey. That would be enough for creating a headband of alluring charisma.
Yeah.
You really want that headband, don't you?
It would improve my attack and my damage.
It would be enough to get a new familiar. It would be enough to pay for your living expenses for almost a year. Now you're seeing why people actually decide to be adventurers on occasion. You know, you spend 3 days in harrowing circumstances underground, and then you don't have to work for a year. Yay!
Yay! But we're still going to work for like the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And then you'll become filthy rich.
Then we'll blow it all off on a shopping trip.
Trevor was like, wow, I should have been an adventurer instead of a thief years ago.
Yeah, you'd probably die a lot earlier.
You don't know.
Yeah. So, Tonatium's going to be in bed until the funeral. Turvu's going to have a lot of free time. Is there anything Turvu wants to do?
Especially with the unguarded bowl of gems.
The unguarded bowl of gems.
I mean, like, character-wise.
Character-wise, I don't think Turvu has much he wants to do.
Yeah, I'll go visit the orphanage or something.
Outside of purchasing things.
You don't want to look up any old comrades or anything like that?
I mean, they are stalking me.
Oh, Jill.
Well, Jill's last laugh, and the Alley Bashers didn't get along, remember?
Yeah.
Incidentally, Tonatium, after your first night, you wake up, and there's a little, like, get well soon balloon with a heart on it.
See, doggy, but they're crying too, but for different reasons.
Why are they crying?
I don't know, there's something outside. I gotta check it out. They're calling for me.
Alright.
Yay, dogs.
Yay, dogs.
She has a heal check.
She has a heal check. Is she gonna nurse Tonatium back to health?
I'm gonna have Tonatium make a perception check when Antonio gets back.
I love Jill fucking with him.
Jill is one of my favorite NPCs here. She's watching the party from afar, and also she falls in love with one of them.
Yeah.
And she's
okay. My sister pulled up in the drive-thru. They missed her badly since they haven't seen her all day.
Okay. So on an unrelated note, I looked something up and I'm like, ooh, would you make a perception check, please, Tonatium? This is a you're asleep perception check, so put a -10 on it. That beats the 0 you needed. So during that first night, so you may not wake up to the balloon because you wake up to the feeling of someone putting something wet against your forehead.
Ew.
It's like a warm compress.
What's a compress?
Like
something for myself when you're sick.
Like a wet, like a little washcloth with warm water.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that.
And there's like, you feel that your legs have been elevated.
I should imagine, like, at first I think it was Turbo, please stop.
As you're coming to, you hear a familiar woman's voice go, "Shh. You're rather anemic. This will help." And you see Jill there.
This is getting ridiculous.
She says, "That's right. However did you lose this much blood?"
Rather not say.
She says, "Well, just relax. Go back to sleep. You don't have anything to worry about."
Besides some stranger in my home.
You are so clever.
During all this.
And Turvu's just snoring in the other room. "I'll have you know I haven't taken any of your belongings. I haven't even attempted revenge for those comrades of mine you killed."
That does remind me, why are you going through so much trouble?
She leans over you. Her, black and white face paint glittering in the moonlight. Just the white side, not the black. So it's kind of this twisted white grin. "You've never seen yourself walk down a alleyway, pointing your finger out commandingly, pulling all of that power through. It's beautiful."
So we're not getting a boner for your magic.
And she kind of runs her fingers along your chin. And she leans into your ear and says, "Just rest now." And gives you a little kiss on the cheek. Everyone's uncomfortable with this, Antonio, don't worry. Jill is the only one here who likes this.
Trevor doesn't even like this, and he doesn't even know what's going on.
He's probably having a nightmare.
Probably.
Trevor's like, "Oh, Jill, stop being such a creepy bitch." But still, that is as Jill does. I'll put a Jill out there because Jill's out here. Now, just in case you've forgotten what Jill looks like. Not that anyone can forget how kind of absurd Jill looks. I love her so much.
Should I go back to the cauldron map?
Yeah.
Thought I enforced you guys here.
Nope, I was stuck at the orphanage.
Oh. Well, yeah. So, are you going to let Jill do this? That's the question I'm sitting on.
Can you please just leave?
Fine, she says, as she leaves and does not administer a heal check to accelerate your healing to twice speed. And this time you don't get the balloon because she's upset.
She's upset because you're playing hard to get.
Upset because
For good reason.
you're playing totally not interested.
Totally unrequited love.
Yeah.
I'm also debating whether it would have been more or less funny if she had fallen in love with Turbo instead, the leader of the enemy thieves guild.
Yeah. I may have flipped a coin.
Is she like supposed to fall in love with one of the party members?
Yeah. For reasons. For reasons that I didn't really understand until all of this bullshit started happening. I'm like, oh yes, this is why. This is why they made that note. This is wonderful.
This is hilarious.
Yeah. I almost didn't do it because I'm like, oh, this seems like some creepy wish fulfillment bullshit. But now that I've done it, I'm like, oh yes, she is such a creepy person. I imagine Deal with Jill is now on your list, right, Tonatium?
The what?
Deal with Jill?
Should be. Yeah.
Or does Tonatium secretly like it?
No, you don't. Not that was convince you.
How you said that was so kind of like, ew, cooties.
So...
It's that post you. It's just like that post you posted, Kit. So you're right, except like a person who just really doesn't like you.
Yeah. Soon to TM. Soon to TM.
Okay, I need to get the door. I'll be back.
Okay.
Imagine Tonatium doing the same pose as the
Like-
Fire Emblem chick.
Tonatium doing that pose.
Yeah. Hands on knees, butt sticking out.
I'll pull that image into the map here for people viewing on stream so that they're aware of what we're referring to.
Her name is Severa.
Oh, I mean, the people watching the stream can just see it.
Yeah. She's a Fire Emblem character.
Yeah. Well, you're imagining that I play any games that aren't obscure, shitty indie RPGs or overpriced grand strategy games that I get like 20 years into and then rage quit and start over again, over and over again till I have thousands and thousands of hours.
Just like you cover the entire Tonatium's house with Severa.
I need to check my budget. If my budget fits, I am totally going to ask Antonio to draw Tonatium in this pose. Glaring at Jill. As I can imagine, if Jill was doing this shit on Turvu would be like, sure.
Why not?
Yeah. And then...
Oh my god. Is Tonatium an incel?
Is Tonatium in... At this point, I'd say Tonatium's more of a Volcel.
Okay, so I just came back to the whole Tonatium's an incel. I'm gonna need context for what led to that.
We're discussing you and Jill, and I'm saying, no, at this point, if anything, Tonatium's a Volcel, because Tonatium has the opportunity and is just completely uninterested.
Because we were saying, like, if Jill had crushed on Turbo, Turbo would be like, okay.
Yeah. Incels and Volcels are completely different varieties of being shit to women, and Tonatium isn't really either. Tonatium's more just not interested in this creepy bitch.
Tonatium is innocent baby.
Yeah. Also, Antonio, this thing...
Yes.
Tonatium in that pose, glaring at Jill. Yeah? Yeah?
Aye.
I have to check my budget before I can tell if I can afford to commission you on that.
The worst part is, the most difficult part of that would be that I haven't actually drawn to a TM before.
Here's the, I'll get the full picture of what it looks like. I'll put that in, let me put this in Shackled, why not?
I want things like that in the trash heap to keep separated.
Okay, I'll put it in the trash heap. Here is the full picture of where that name comes from.
Okay.
And I just remembered about that GIF.
I like to imagine you replace the sword on your ass with a staff.
The hair's the right length.
Yeah, the hair's the right length.
Tony TM could totally do that. But in any case, I suppose we have a lot of downtime now.
Yeah.
As we're officially done with everything in Chapter 2.
Yes.
Also,
Cat funeral.
Twig should not be there anymore. So,
Cat funeral.
Actually, no, I just recovered from all the sadness. I don't know if I want to go through that again.
cat funeral happened. I figured we'll waive that and just be like, cat funeral happened.
We also go out and sell these gems.
Do you want Lord Valantru to have named your group, or did you want to have named your group?
I can't really think of a good name, to be honest.
Neither can I.
Okay.
I guess because we're just rolling with whatever Valantru comes up with.
Yep. And he named you. Oh. My generator gave me the best name, and he would totally have named you this.
I forgot the exciting things.
It's shit, and I hate it, but I love it.
So
Little band of misfits.
you are legally considered the Forgotten Exiles. Also, Drakthar's Way belongs to Valantru now, and he wants to know whether you want to have it.
What do you think, Turbo?
I don't know.
It is a bit fire damaged.
And a bit smelly. A lot of the goblins have been living in there.
They would have to open up a new entryway into a nearby house, but there's one next door to the bathhouse that's conveniently been abandoned and on the market. Lord Valantru would be willing to oversee the sale of your current domicile and transferring you into that new one. If not, he'll figure out something to do with it.
I'm just thinking, let's say if we did get it, what would we do with it?
Yeah, we don't really have any necessity for a massive underground area.
Though it could be a good place to store our stuff.
I don't know, it might be a bad place to store our stuff.
They've also collapsed the tunnel.
The tunnel to outside?
Yep.
Like the entire tunnel?
They collapsed it a bit south of the last of the constructed areas.
Yeah.
Arf, 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 arf.
Oh no, that's him with the squeaky toy.
I thought it was a bird.
No, it's Lobo with the squeaky toy. He's so... If he gets a loud squeaky toy, he does that. I can totally understand where he comes from, though. Let me adjust my mic then, if he's gonna be... Oh, thank you. Yeah. My sister got it.
So the reason I ask if you want it now is because if you don't want it, I'll just delete the map.
Yeah.
If you do want it, then I'll reveal the map and let you decide how you want to kit it out.
Question: will this be further added to expenses if we take it?
No, this will end up replacing the expenses.
Okay then. So, what would the new expenses be if we did take it?
They'd be the same.
Be the same?
Yep. Assuming that you want to let Lord Valantru sell your current shop, and then you'd open a new one above in the abandoned storefront.
I'm like thinking it'd be cool to own an underground fortress, but at the same time I feel like no need for it.
Essentially, you'd have a storefront, and then instead of having this shitty apartment above, you'd have like this larger house underneath that connects it to a cavern with a secret base.
It's not a bad idea to take it in case we might need it later on.
Yeah, I just have mixed feelings because of what happened with Twig.
That's fair. The place where Twig died, though, is now buried under stone.
Yeah. Well, perhaps they'll take it.
Alrighty then.
We'll have to clean up the bottom of this thing, though. Smells too much of goblin.
Well, I assumed that you would be spending some downtime cleaning it. Let me put some new stairs in.
I have one thing Taylor can do in his downtime.
What?
Go to visit the bathhouse.
Sure. And hey,
If he takes a free bath.
those free baths are now next door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can go to them after a whole day of working.
So there you go. So the new. So if you go to Drakthar's Way, you can see how it's kind of changed up a little.
Oh yeah, I guess this is a good opportunity to take a look behind those extra doors.
Yep. I'm just deleting a bunch of stuff that we won't need. And then cleaning up the map so that I don't have to look at some of that. And then I will be revealing.
Huh. It is quite a lot. Or at least we did miss some fancy rooms.
Yep. So there's a spring in this room by the door. Down this way, you very quickly realize there's a dark mantle infestation.
Oh god.
What's a dark mantle? Is this engineering?
They're those things that drop down on your head.
I don't know what that is.
Are you on Drakthar's Way?
Yeah. Yeah, but I never fought against a dark mantle before.
Yeah.
You were in Wrath of the Righteous, right?
Yeah, I think so. But that's been so long ago, I don't remember much of it, to be honest.
Because I remember the Dark Mantle almost killed you.
I don't remember the Dark Mantle. I'm sorry.
They're essentially predators that sit on the ceiling and then drop down and eat people.
Yeah. That's a good way to get rid of them.
Kill them.
Kill them.
Kill them. Murder.
You also...
Have I healed my con damage yet?
Yeah. You also have those shocker lizards who have kind of wandered off into the tunnel.
We'll deal with those things too.
Death Skull is not here. And of course, you could also deal with all of those by leaving them alone.
Yeah, we could just put up a sign or something.
Okay.
Do you really think we have dangerous, lethal creatures in our this underground base?
Well, if we didn't encounter them, that probably means they don't move much.
I'm wondering if they're better or worse than executioner shards.
A little bit better.
Well, I have an idea how we could deal with one of the Shackled lizards, but I'm not sure if it'll work.
Charm animal, tell them to move out.
You could do that too.
Make a diplomacy check.
Make a diplomacy check. Okay, what is my diploma?
Yeah, you convince them to go out, and then once you open your door and let them out, they go out into the streets of Cauldron.
Oh dear.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you put up signs for the Dark Mantle Cave, warning yourselves and any people you invite down not to go in there.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, anyway, did we sell the bullet gems yet?
Did you?
Probably should. I'm assuming we did.
I'm also assuming you nuke all of those filthy goblin things.
Yeah. Let's say we split up the money from gems.
Split up 50-50?
Yeah, it'll be 1,005 each.
1,005, so my $2,027 GP in my pocket.
Yay!
I'll need to use 1,000 of that to buy the stuff I need for the animal companion ritual.
And I'm probably gonna use all of mine to buy a headband.
It's in a week, right?
Huh?
It should be like a week since
Yes.
Drake was gone.
Yes. We already answered yes to that like 3 times.
Okay.
There we go. I left not goblin things on the map, and then I covered up every goblin thing. So you've got a nice open map to play with. And I will... do you want me to remove vision blocking around here?
Yes, please.
There you go. No vision blocking. And I suppose I should let you know about places that you haven't been. Any treasure that might be in there. Right?
We certainly haven't been to around here.
Yeah, you haven't been around there, and you haven't been on the upper half of that hallway. So...
Yep.
Do you want me to just run down the descriptions of those places?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, the larger location down there is a defiled chapel. At the far end of the room, there's a decapitated 7-foot tall statue with its hands resting on a warhammer. There's a brazier before the altar.
Launcher lunch to figure out what this temple was dedicated to?
Sure. It was dedicated to Moradin. And Moradin, the god of the dwarves. And as you're kind of cleaning, you find the head actually in the rubble over here. that they had to clear to build the stones. So you have the head of it. The brazier was full of dung, and you had to clean it out.
Ew.
We don't have any glue to put this back on, do we?
No, you don't have any glue to put the head of the statue on.
Yeah, someone gets this.
Yeah. Auric will gladly take it off of your hands, but he doesn't have any more money to give you because he gave you all of his savings.
Yeah.
And the room back here had smashed up furniture and such. It must have once been the priest's quarters for this little shrine. Then we get up to 11, which was, it's a little tiny hot spring bubbling out in that wall. So there's a source of fresh water. This room was full of rotting carcasses of baboons and boars.
Yeah.
They weren't rotting at the time that you had come down here at first, but since they've been left for a week, they've gone bad. But you can clean it up. And that's all that you missed.
So we got literally most of the treasure.
Yeah.
Probably all the treasure. There's just other things.
It'd be interesting to figure out what we could do with this space.
You can have
live in it for one thing.
you can have bedrooms, you can have storerooms, you can have magical research and production, training. You can set up a little shrine to Oladamara. Your imagination's the limit. I'm sorry?
I said we could have a forge for my weaponsmithing.
Yeah.
I think we should make a proper layout, and what would this be the best? I don't know.
What I'm saying is that as part of the kind of $100 a month to come down here, within reason, Lord Vilantru will gladly finance sensible things. Like a forge would be a little bit more expensive. We'd have to spend some money to add that in. But again, Lord Vilantru would be willing to finance that if it came to it.
I think first of all we should figure out living quarters.
Yep.
There seems to be a decent bedroom area.
Yep, you've got the stairs up here. Got this. You've essentially got, I'd say, 6, maybe 7 areas. You have area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a fancy treasure room on the far end of a chasm.
Shouldn't get too crazy after all. This tunnel takes a long time to get through.
Yep.
And level got the squeaker toy again.
Yep. You may want to consider push to talk.
Yeah, perhaps I should.
If Lobo's going to be squeaky toying.
Okay, we put it on a high shelf this time.
Okay. So that should buy us at least 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I need to do is need to go to the familiar summoning ritual. Takes about 8 hours, so it'll be a day.
Okay. Where do you want to do this ritual?
That's a good question.
There's a lot of empty space.
Yeah, but I kind of need the familiar to also come to me. Alright, I just need to push the talk. There we go. How's that?
Good. Okay. I counted how many familiars there are, so if you want me to, I can randomly roll one. You just want to grab whatever's nearest.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So still, which room do you want to have become your magic room?
That's a good question. I think over here?
Okay. So let's see exactly how this spell works. Huh? So it's just a ritual and then it comes, right?
Seems like that.
Okay. So do you want it to be a ritual and then it wanders to you, or do you want it to be a ritual and then it travels to you from an outer plane? Like literally summoned to you by magic.
I like the thing that Tortilla did it the former way first time, and that's how he met Twig, but I think we'll like use a summoning circle and figure out what comes.
So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 40, 50, 60, there's only 67 of them. Why did I think there was 70? 59, 58, 57. Okay.
What is it?
So, as you finish your summoning circle and you do your casting, a light fills the room. A deep, magical, mystical light. And out of the circle comes... I put this on the hidden layer. So at first the light is bright, and your eyes have trouble adjusting. The flames and torchlight have burned out. The whole room is dark. And you can see only a little glowing red dots before the lights return. And you can see the creature. Ta-doo.
Is a squirrel.
It's a squirrel!
It's a red-eyed squirrel.
Yes.
Huh.
Gives you +3 on sleight of hand checks.
Huh.
As opposed to your old stealth checks.
Did not think it'd be a squirrel. What if you say it's in confusion?
It's, looking about, chittering. It's, you have the whole day ritual. It's named in the process. This was just the beginning of the ritual where it came to you. Because now you have to converse and come to agreements. This is your familiar. You get to come up with name, personality, all that. All I did is randomly roll something and then take the first Google result that wasn't stupid.
Yeah, let me just put the notes here. Familiar, squirrel, +2 sleight of hand.
This is
I don't
good.
know how to spell squirrel.
I'm having memories of college and my German friend who could not pronounce squirrel to save his life. He'd be like, squirrel, squirrel, the squirrel, the squaw. He started just calling them squaws.
I don't know. I see the word, but it just does not register as squirrel to me.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Squirrel. The new foundation. But yeah, what's your squirrel's name? Or do you want it to name itself?
I guess, what is your name?
Okay. Drama. There we go. That's not a squirrel. That's a bad voice. Let's make your squirrel sound different. There we go.
Mad like squirrel. Let's call you Drag for short.
Want me to generate a random personality too?
Yes.
Demon squirrel.
Seems like I summoned a fiendish squirrel, to be honest.
Nope, it's not fiendish. It's just a squirrel familiar.
You literally have one of my class bonuses as just a bonus from your familiar.
Yeah, my whole mood at this moment is just like that picture of the keyboard label, fuck, go back.
Fuck back.
So I'm putting this in the token so we can all reference it. And then I'm going to put it in the chat, both of them. So you can see the wonderful personality I've generated here. You're gonna love this squirrel, I think.
Is the squirrel a misogynist?
No. I am Dragdramok. Dragdramok the Generous. Dragdramok the Solitary. Dragdramok, your worthless slave. Command me, master. What may I do? What may this worthless pile of flesh do to be more worthy of you? It's a fucking depressed, self-hating demon squirrel.
That matters. That's a neat freaking rebellious.
The rebelliousness wild. It just means it's like a wild animal. It's a squirrel.
It's a neat freak.
Yeah.
It's a bad-mannered neat freak.
If you excuse me, master, this room is still filthy. Let me clean it for you.
Perhaps your first task will be to introduce yourself. Tobu, here he is.
What's up?
Who are you? Who are you to stand in the presence of master? I am worthless. Are you worthy of my master? Kneel!
Why is there a chipmunk yelling at me?
I am Dragmok. Dragmok the Generous. Dragmok the worthless pile of flesh in service of my great master. What's your name, master?
Tosium.
Tony Tiam.
Everyone pulls out an acorn.
I thank you for your generosity, strange fellow.
This is Turbu, Dragonmach.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
He will be accompanying us for most of our time, so it is best to familiarize with him.
I shall do so. And he immediately runs up Turbo's leg. Like inside the leg. Running around inside your clothes.
Did you do the summoning ritual wrong or something?
Well, I did it exactly how I could, but I did it through a summoning circle. Normally, if you were to do it outside, basically the closest animal who accepts will come over, but when you do it like this, it just kind of grabs whoever first responds.
And I am proud to prove myself worthy. I have made a wonderful choice with this voice. Oh my god.
I like to imagine the funny part is you said he climbed up my pant leg, so you just hear that voice like emanating from my pants.
Yes. And it comes back down. There is no route to get him to know him further upwards. He has a belt. Dragmach is wonderful. Sure, Dragmach just speaks common.
He speaks.
Sure. I don't think he's supposed to, but he will, because it's better that way.
Yeah. Fuck the rules.
Fuck the rules. Now Tonatium has a fucking depressive, growly voiced demon squirrel who is very likely to insist that everyone bow.
Oh dear. Yeah, he traded a friend for a servant, and Tonatium's not happy about that.
It's a kid.
Yeah, I like to think like Tonatium had Twig as a familiar back from the start of his wizarding.
Yeah. I like to imagine that Twig was your pet before you're familiar.
Yeah, something like that.
Like your childhood cat, and then you went out into the dark woods to do the ritual, and your childhood cat just walked up and went, meow.
Yeah, I like to think Twig was actually his mom wouldn't let him have a tiger as a pet, so he got a cat instead.
Yeah. Oh. Pour out a glass for Twig. Except I don't think any of us drink.
No.
I have a soda can near me.
And water.
I still have a lot of booze from back in my alcoholic days. I mostly use it for cooking now. And then my daughter took all of my bottles of rum and combined them into one because they're that brand that has the pinup girls on the back. And she took the empty bottles back to her mother's house to try to decorate her room with pretty art, and her mother got so angry at me.
Oh dear.
Oh, jeez. My daughter is a treat.
Sounds like it.
So, Kit,
Yes.
if I provide the scroll and the cash, can I get someone to make me the headband of the Lord Charisma?
Donatium, can you do that?
I'm trying to check my feet so fast.
Do you have create wondrous item? I don't think so. You have create wand.
I have great wonderful items.
Huh. Cool. So all we would need is the scroll and the money.
Yeah. And Donatium being willing to create a wonderful item.
Yeah. The scroll.
I operate part of his soul.
We need 2,200 GP.
It's a fraction of
I
that
have
when you
two.
craft it yourself.
Yeah, no, it's normally 4,000.
Ah, okay.
The crafting is craft wondrous item equals splendor, and for a +2 2,000 GP.
Hey, you could probably learn Ingle's Splendor from a scroll, couldn't you?
No.
Tonatium.
Because I am. I think he can. I cannot. Because I am a bard.
Turvu buys you a scroll that lets you learn a new spell, and then you make him a magic headband.
I don't have the money to buy the scroll, I don't think. I have 2,025 or 27 GP.
So is this just Eagle's Splendor again?
Yes, Eagle Splendor. It's $200 or 200 GP.
It's a level 2 spell. I can cast that. I can even learn that if given enough time.
Yeah. I'll be right back. 1 sec.
And you guys just leveled up at the end of last session, right?
No, we got pretty close, but we're still 600 XP short.
Sure, I'll round you up and say it's story XP. And then, yeah. Send me any notes you have about what you want this place to be like, and I'll see if I can't add stuff to it. Or if you want to, we can just spend some time now and you can grab the drawing tool and draw what you want to draw.
Drawing does sound fun.
Just please, with fewer penises than last time.
Yeah.
I think I'll end the stream for now because we're pretty much done. It's just a matter of decorating, and then next week it can be a great surprise what you've done with this place.
Yay!
So thank you for coming, real person. Thank you for coming, bots. And farewell.